What's good, people? It's your boy, Icarus Crab. And this is Gray Area Anime. And we are back with another one. As always, our executive producer is in the building.
Back once more again for you lovely chillins in the room. It's Prima Diva. I had to do a little bit extra because you didn't come in extra like you usually do. Somebody had to be able to earn the stop, you know.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly what they needed. Today we're gonna discuss. It's been a while. We've been telling you guys that we're gonna do it. So we wanted to go ahead and do it so we didn't keep pushing it off to the side. I know we've been gone for a while, and life is all I'm saying. My birthday came, and then we were trying to get some stuff together, and we're also trying to work for things for the top of the year as well to kind of elevate and push the content forward because we want to continue growing and being better because I enjoy this and I don't want to present it in an even bigger light is what I'm trying to say.
Oh, yes.
But today we're going to discuss season 2 of ReZero now that we finished watching it since I decided to stop doing the episode by episode recap just because I felt like we were it wouldn't be as enjoyable if you didn't already watch it or read along with us. So I kind of felt like in our episode we're just kind of like having a spoiler breakdown conversation, which I know people watch those and will watch, other people like in the Marvel things point out different Easter eggs and things of that nature. But because this is something I want to invite people to and I want it to be more inviting. I wanted to kind of change or inclusive. That's a better descriptor. I wanted to take some time to kind of just watch it all and just go from there. Because so many different things happen. And as we're watching from the perspective of people who have read. So we're watching to remember things to kind of see how they plan to present them in visual form because it can add emphasis to things. It can change the dynamic of things that you've read because when you read, you create things, voices, so on and so forth in your head, how people look, different scenes and stuff like that. But seeing it for how they animated it, the world is a lot bigger, especially in mangas. The perspective that you get from the characters will kind of make, unless they do a huge landscape panel, it can seem a lot smaller to where you're like, well, I don't understand how they didn't just get to the top floor until you actually see this huge castle or you see where the fights are taking place when they kind of break those things down.
I think it's a good point that you're making here, too, because anyone who's ever read the book, The Great Gatsby, knows that what you saw in the movie is like everything that was described in the book, but faster because it takes so much. F. Scott Fitzgerald, I think is that who wrote the book?
I'm not sure.
I can't remember who wrote it, but I think that's the guy. I'm not sure, but I feel like I'm mixing him up with someone else. Forgive me, guys. Anyways, but there are so many descriptors in that book. It's ridiculous. But to bring an example closer to this, I'm sure I've heard in other places how people describe the way Roswell speaks. Reading him speak that way and hearing him do it in the anime, so much better because it's kind of difficult even in my imagination to imagine how he's elongating the words, especially since where he elongates words is different from where I would put the inflection myself. Mm-hmm. So like this is a great opportunity to kind of measure what we read versus what we saw, and hopefully you guys can make those comparisons with us.
All right. Well, we'll start here. All in all, how did you enjoy the season?
Oh, I loved it. I will start first and foremost by conceding Icarus was right. They stopped right about where he said they would. And as much as I wanted it to go on, I think that they chose a really great place to pause. Because stuff is about to get real and it's about to change. So overall, I thought it was well done. One of the top moments that stands out for me as like kind of just as bad watching as it was reading was when he got eaten by the great rabbit. That was a very gut-wrenching moment. So that's one of my top moments there. But overall, yeah, I think it was great. How about you?
Just to make sure, spoiler alert, didn't say that before she got to talking.
I thought we all knew why we were here. I apologize.
But just in case you still decided to listen to this episode, even though it's going to be clearly labeled season 2 breakdown, like I don't. Anyway,
we gave you all the warnings you deserve.
But that was I don't know. I think Garfield's seeing him and how he acted, how his personality was a little bit different.
His voice was different for sure than what I expected.
I kind of expected something like that. That just seems like a thing as one of those people. Just the way in which he acted was, it gave more foundation to the things that are going to happen. Because you can see the pompous, or not pompous, but just immature aspects of him that are kind of like led by his, not even arrogance, just childlike immaturity. I mean, that's just all it is, because he doesn't have arrogance because he doesn't want to do a lot of the things that he's doing or whatever. And I was really enamored by meeting those characters. I forget what they call her, because we called her Lewis-san because that's what they called her in the translation. But it's something. I don't know if it
was like Ryu-san or something like Ri-san. I think that's what it was. It was Ri-san.
I think it might have been like Ryo-san or something. But her introduction was cool as well. I think seeing more of Otto was good in this light, and the way the characters start to kind of you start to see more of why they lean to him, kind of thing, and it's cool.
To Otto or to
well, you start to see why the characters that like him, all the characters, not just Otto in general. So whether it's Rim, whether it's the witches, whether it's any of them, it just kind of hits differently.
Yeah.
Then, because reading, you can kind of get it, but we also get way more attempts. I didn't like, the one thing I didn't like though was them introducing the blue-haired girl from the village that controls the beast or whatever.
Maya or Mia.
Maya,
I think her name was Mia. They did introduce that a lot sooner than I think we got introduced to that in the reading. You're right.
Well, because in the book, we don't get introduced to it until they've made the split. And then they finally got Garfield to come back, and Amelia's taking the trial at the time, because they're still doing all of these things with Roswell, where they had to get back, and Beatrice, I think, got him back. Because that's when they start the big fight or whatever, which will probably be the latter half of season 2. But
yeah, because they've got a long way to go before that happens.
I didn't really like that. Like,
you didn't really like that they introduced her,
because it was more impactful to me reading it when it was like, I can't even understand why all these mob beasts are here.
Yeah, and that you didn't really understand that the village had been attacked either.
No.
Like, that wasn't even included. And what's interesting, I want to point out, I'm sure you were going to, for those of you who do not remember Maya in this particular stance, is the girl, did you want to talk about that?
No, you can go ahead.
Is the girl from the first season who messed up the barriers so that the mob beasts would attack the village.
Or the girl that they could never find because they didn't know that she messed the stuff up.
Subaru figured it out. Because she just disappeared. And he was like, wait a minute. How about I'm counting all these other kids. I don't see the blue-haired girl. Where's she? And they're like, oh, we don't know.
Well, I don't remember him exactly figuring out. But maybe he did.
I feel like he did, but I might be wrong.
Well, to me, it just looked more like at that one time, he's like, well, we're still missing her. I don't know what happened to her.
Yeah.
Because the conversation that they have when they're all together and they're talking to her, he kind of puts everything else together at that point, which is why I thought. But,
oh yeah, I get you. So, but here she is, ladies and gentlemen, on the wrong side of the line. Okay.
And that was an interesting detour, only to show, I guess because they're definitely going to finish, obviously, this arc.
Mm-hmm.
So you would need to now, I guess, instead of waiting so late in the season, just to kind of set up every obstacle that he has to kind of overcome. But it for me, it lacked a little bit.
It was an unwelcome surprise. But I do have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think about? Because I'm pretty certain we didn't cover this in our last episode. I'm not sure if we got this far. What did you think about Subaru's past trial? Did we cover that? I mean, like the introduction
we covered the
of his
episode
dad?
just because I said we talked about it because it was one of our favorite episodes.
Oh,
so we've done that
it was
episode.
a beautiful thing. So check that out
because that was an earlier episode before we decided to just do the season 2 breakdown.
So about the present, then let's move on to like his trial with the present and like him coming to the realization of, oh my God, she's really a witch. Like all these things that he had to go through. What'd you think about that?
I thought it was really good. I thought that it felt more, like I said, everything felt a little heavier.
Mm-hmm.
I think realizing every time that he was waking up and going back into the trial,
mm-hmm.
waking up and going back into the trial, like I thought it was all just continual from reading. But if the canon part of it is, no, each of these was a present that
he had to like wake up and go back to.
And at that point in time he had died 15
so many times
or more, because there's probably,
not including the times he killed himself after Rim.
Well, even then that was once. So you got like 3 times, I think, in the beginning, because I think the thing that he was scared of is thinking that he could only die 3 times before.
Yeah.
Whatever, because it was like 3 times there. I think 3 times in the mansion. 3 times.
I'm pretty certain he died at least 4 times at one point, because I think he was worried once when he was about to die. He was like, I don't know if I can come back from this.
That's what I'm saying. I think that was. I'm pretty sure that was still in the mansion.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Because he's only died in the beginning with the Amelia stuff in the mansion,
and then with the
white whale.
Mm-hmm.
And that was 2 or 3. Then when Rim,
mm-hmm.
And then right before he took the trials, probably once or twice, maybe at that point.
And interestingly, when we were reading it, it seemed like he died a lot more trying to figure out how to get. And by more, I just mean more than once. I know he bit off his tongue, but the way they described it in what we were reading made it seem like he killed himself at least 2 more times trying to figure out if there was a way for him to go back until he realized he couldn't. And that's not something that I got from the
because he cut his
anime.
throat in the first one.
Yeah, he like straight up like went
he doesn't bite his tongue until they're having like the tea party. He's only bitten his tongue twice. I think it was one time dealing with Betelgeuse, and then the other time at the tea party, where he didn't die that time because because Daphne or one of the witches saved him.
It was I can't. She was the Witch of Wrath. That's the one. She saved him because she was beating him like, I'm so mad at you.
Minerva, I guess, or
no, Minerva Sloth.
Segment is Sloth, though.
Segment is Sloth. Minerva. Which one is Minerva?
It's probably
is she Lust?
Wrath. No, I don't believe so.
Huh. Interesting. We'll figure it out. Anyways, I did want to point out something that me and you kind of were talking about when we watched the episode. It was closer to the end when Echidna was offering him the deal. Mm-hmm. And all the witches were like, don't take her hand. Don't take her hand. She's lying to you. She's not telling you everything.
Right.
I feel like in the conversation you and I had, we kind of were dealing with talking about how interesting and almost kind of, how do I say this, spiritual that instance was, so to speak, or theological maybe, because if he was to submit to Echidna, mm-hmm. then he was to submit to something that technically would be like a higher power for him. And me and you were kind of talking about how people, a lot of times certain people may think that is how God operates when it's not. You know, it would take away his right to choose. Like, we were kind of talking about that a little bit.
Right. Well, I mean, there's deeper discussions and things that you can have on that. Over at Bible Study Girl podcast, where I executive produce. Make sure you guys go and check that out. You can find that on all your streaming platforms. Also go to BibleStudyGirl.com, where there are blog posts every single day if you're on to the existential conversations that we have there, where we're talking about such choices. Again, that is BibleStudyGirl.com. Make sure you go and check it out. But yes, it was incredibly interesting in the sense of what it was and what it meant, and what was it being attempted. They really cared, and like I said, that's something that was iffy when reading, because when I got to this point when reading, it was just like, dang, I really kind of had hope that there was somebody that was actually trying to help him. But they were, just in their own way, because they know more than what he knows. They know more about why he's there than he does, and they know his ultimate goal, even though he's by contract forgotten it. Even though by contract he can't forget about it, or he's forgotten about it, I should say. So seeing all of these people with different personalities fighting for him, rooting for him, even in a certain way, whether it's gluttony, saying, well, beat my monsters, and initially when reading, it felt like, you can't, versus go and do it. Like, I challenge you. I respect you enough to think that you can. So that was really cool. And I was really, really happy about the way everything kind of played out at that pinnacle, so to speak.
So another thing that I thought was interesting was when the Witch of Envy finally showed up. And she's like she seemed like she was in a constant state of mourning or crying. Mm-hmm. The way the other witches reacted to her, like the first time we actually see the other witches engage with her in the reading was when she appeared mad because he had been talking to Ekadana about everything. Mm-hmm. And from the reading, I could kind of feel like she knew Ekadana liked him in a way, and Sekhmet had to come through and be like, all right, ma'am, you got to sit down somewhere. And so she had to kind of sit her down. That's the first time in the reading where we kind of see that she's probably the only one that could fight the Witch of Envy head on, and at least give her a run for her money. She might not win, obviously. We're here, right? They died,
well, she
so
could.
to speak.
I mean, it's just
but she could have whooped her tail.
Yeah, she could have won. In their conversation, they talk about the fact that if she was motivated to do so, and because she wasn't, it was more so why everything ended up happening as it was. But them introducing her in the anime made her more human and more understandable, in the sense that you can tell that her big decision, while they all don't agree, they all haven't rejected her in the way that they say.
Yeah. There's some
or at least in their conversations, like there's something that's going on. Like I said, they all know there's a reason, there's a purpose, there's a purpose driven goal for him to be there. And, we're going to find that out probably eventually from reading. Mm-hmm. I know you've read a lot further than I have, but
not much further.
I'm going to do my best to catch up so we can start talking about it more. We may do some light novel breakdowns or just light novel talk, I guess, because none of these are breakdowns. We just really want to talk about them and discuss them in a way of kind of dissecting what we liked and didn't like. I was really excited about Emilia's kind of emergence in a certain way, or the complexity that is Amelia.
Yeah.
Now we haven't gotten to the big reveal of why
Amelia is the way she is.
Why she is the way she is,
and that's coming.
And that's
exciting.
A huge piece that I think they're gonna do really well with. I hope, because that's a pivotal piece of like understanding their dynamic.
Yeah.
Understanding all of her interactions. Patrash is MVP. That was another great,
when the ground dragon becomes like takes the place of Rim, because that's essentially what Patrash did. Like, I still think she thinks of Subaru as kind of like her son or like a cub, the way she treats him,
or just his, or just hers.
Yeah, like general, like kind of like a part of her pack, like a dog does.
Whatever it is, there's just something,
Yeah.
The building of the friendship with Otto was another pivotal thing this season.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
That I think was done expertly well.
Yeah.
Rem's actions and stuff has been done really, really well. They're not as open to what's going to happen later on in the season, but all of her actions say she's still, even without Ram being Ram's interactions with him, even with Ram being in sleep, Ram has like exceeded a lot of different things in terms of just her willingness to push Subaru to the right answers, all while she's trying to reach her own goal at this point.
And she's displayed a little bit more emotion too.
Now, the Roswell is a bitch campaign,
I was just about to ask you, man.
It is full in front.
Full effect.
Well, this is where we were saying a lot of that, because we had started reading long time ago. So like 4 or 5 years ago when season 1 came out, because we had like just started dating, which is funny.
Yeah.
To how long season 1 and season 2.
Yes, the series has lasted the entirety of our dating and marriage.
And just far. Not getting to season 2. But Roswell, it's so hard to like kind of see the darkness that he has in him, or actually the obsessive qualities that he has in him. Him announcing that he's the mastermind behind basically everything, because he's trying to reach a certain goal, and he has no idea that he's like returned by death without returning. Like, he's not the same person.
No,
but he
just understands that there are parallel universes and that somehow we end up back here. I don't know how it works, but that Roswell to me is an example of like logic or truth taken way too far. It's like, it's not even true anymore. It's not even logical. It's like it literally is, like you said, like an obsession. It's become, you're so addicted to what you think is factual that you reject anything or any other possibilities. That's lunacy. That's insane. That's literally insane.
But at this point, I mean, given what he's gone through for the amount of time that he's gone through it,
that fool crazy.
The same as Beatrice, who that was another pivotal point of this
Betty
season, which was great because they also foreshadowed that with the OVA, with the earlier OVA of season 2, which was that was in season 2 too as well.
It was what, the OVA? It was leading into season 2. I always call that like 1B. You know what I mean? Like OVAs in between are like
because of the
1B.
director's cut or whatever. So it was leading into right. But that was an amazing thing because it starts to show the turn.
Yes.
In terms, like I said, everywhere there's a start of showing the turn.
Mm-hmm.
The beast form for Garfield and Frederica, I don't know. Reading in my mind were a little bit
They
better.
were much more ferocious
in the reading
than they were
because
animated.
What I made them in my mind was like this lightning tiger kind of thing, because they always were talking about the golden way.
Yeah. The way his fur was.
That his fur was or whatever. And just the general production that they put into this reminds me so much of Electric Diva Studios that
thank you.
There's no other place that I would recommend you guys seek out your film and recording needs other than Electric Diva Studios, which also executive produced this here podcast.
Yes,
without Electric Diva Studios, we would not be able to succeed in the way that we do. So if you're interested, you should go to electricdivastudios.com. Yes?
Yep.
And, check it out. Rent somebody out. There's going to be some amazing footage. There's some amazing films that Electric Diva Studios have produced. By the time this comes out, or by the time you hear it, Amend is an amazing movie, as well as at Jabak.
At Jabak. That's how I'm saying it. Yeah.
Jabak. Which is another great film. And like I said, in January, there'll also be gray area anime content coming from electricdivastudios.com. So go and check that out.
Yep.
Anyway, back into the conversations as they were.
Roswell's a bitch.
No, we were on Beatrice.
No. Yes, I know.
Their relationship was really great. I enjoyed all the different things. I also enjoyed not Patrice. Oh my gosh. My young maid.
Petra. I think they call her
Petra. It is Petra
in the movie, or in the.
That's what got me mixed up with the Patricia. It's Petra, but that was another adorable thing.
Oh my gosh!
That they added.
I just keep thinking about I'm thinking about the future.
Yeah.
But she's so cute. She's so adorable, and oh my god, yeah, it just gets. It
also
serious.
Coming back was this time. It wasn't like sometimes reading is way better.
That you weren't as surprised or satisfied.
It
with
wasn't.
Coming back?
Well, it wasn't as dark. Like it was messed up, but reading it was way more messed up.
It was because you weren't.
Like when you read it, she literally crucified Beatrice in a certain way when you read versus what happens there.
Yeah, now that is like they have made it a lot less.
She had her up, like they were still in the mansion, and like she was watching her guts fall out and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Also, what else did she do? Their fight was a little bit more epic in terms of getting Subaru out.
But in the anime, they didn't even show that. Like she just sent him back to the the sanctuary, and in the reading, she did that with her last dying breath.
Yeah, but even as they were,
that's when he noticed that she didn't want to die.
But also, as they were doing that, they also didn't even make the place where the Lewis sons or
Ryu sons,
Ryu sons were being made, because it was way more graphic, and like there were dead bodies, and he was kind of like wondering where he was, and it seemed more off the beaten path.
So the order of things was strange too, because he just in the anime he discovers that after Garfield kidnaps him and he gets free, right? He's in the same building as the lab, and then the reading, it seemed like, now this might be a difference of translation or whatever.
I still think they were in two different places.
Yeah, we're two different places.
When they went wherever they went to have tea, that's the place that you're thinking about.
Maybe you're right.
Like, so that's two or three different places, which is what it felt like.
They were on opposite sides of the sanctuary.
Well, it felt like there were three different places. It felt like there was the place where the Lewis sons or the Rio sons were, a place where he was being held.
Yes.
And then
a place where he met, the shack where he met her to have
the shack where he met.
Right?
Yeah, it felt like there were three different places instead of just two. And that was another interesting thing, because like I said, reading it, you kind of just feel it from Subaru's perspective.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is just kind of dark and kind of black, and then, Garfield smacks him or whatever. But seriously, all in all, it was an amazing season. It's something that I would recommend to anybody that likes that kind of anime. As we'll always say, it is not for the faint of heart. It's not for
no honey.
If you're not, like, if you need something a little bit happier, I wouldn't recommend it in that regard, just because the moments that we find happy are because we just have a long suffering mentality. So it's not like, well, well, just in the sense that I know that there's a reward somewhere involved in it in the storyline. It's one of those that as long as you're sticking with it,
right,
you get a lot.
You do,
You're
and
gaining
it
a
is
lot
very emotionally rewarding. If you're interested in something that's just good, that has a good story, that has characters that are developed well, that you will come to care about. If you like normal dramas, like live action dramas and stuff like that, this. If you like Grey's Anatomy, you might like this. Honestly, like it's not about doctors, and there's not a McSteamy,
well,
but
I
the
make
level
this
of
more
drama
like if you like,
could like.
Or
Alias,
if you like
maybe
Game of
Alias.
Thrones,
Yeah,
if you
Game of
like
Thrones will
Game
work.
of Thrones, just because in level of intensity, not in level of the amount of characters
like the
that
kind
you
of violence.
lose
Yeah,
and
that's
stuff
true.
like that. Well, the violence is there.
Yeah.
The
There's
violence
no
is not
incest this time. Interestingly.
Well,
they don't have that
there's
typical character of like
but
who's like in
a-
love with his sister or something.
I don't even want to get into that. That'll be a whole nother anime
But
episode.
it's a different
But
type.
all in all,
Nice,
we're just saying like it's something that I think is really amazing to take a watch.
Yeah.
I mean, you got 2 seasons. You got the director's cut, which not only expounds, shortens, so you can watch that. You can watch the original if you wanted to. If you wanted to have it broken up into more episodes and not have to sit like for the hour. But
the
I will
hour's
say
so
this:
worth it.
it's really worth it at this point. Especially it builds itself to lead more in the season 2 than the first season did, because I don't think they were expecting to get another season eventually.
Exactly.
So anyway, go and enjoy it. Remember that we have a lot of different things, so do your thing.
If you would like to get in touch with us, you can hit us up on Twitter at Gray Area Anime 1, right? And you can also get at us on Instagram and Facebook at Gray Area Anime. And if you have any questions, if you'd like to submit any suggestions, or just hear your thoughts stated on this show, go ahead and email us at grayareaanime@gmail.com.
We appreciate you guys, and we'll see you next week. A 1 and a 2, and peace.